At Millscombe Primary in Brighton, NQTs Catherine and Daniel are tutored by head teacher Charles and deputy Len.
Right, sit back down, I'll come over to you. Fantastic, sit back down.
The school is in one of the UK's most deprived areas and has 75% of its children on the special needs register. At Little Common Primary in Bexhill, Louisa tutors Emily. This is a big school and often there are a number of NQTs at any one time.
When they thought it was night time, actually they were inside the rabbit hole. Now he's expecting it to be...
In Brighton is the much smaller Hertford Primary School, where Becky's tutor is her Year 4 partner teacher, Ian. Sharon Mackenzie knows a lot about the role of induction tutors in Brighton and Hove. It's her job to make sure they're properly trained and complete all the paperwork involved in signing off an NQT. She's also there to support them when things go wrong.
It's very important for the NQT and the tutor to have a good relationship, professionally and personally. We've had a few incidents recently of NQTs in difficulties where the main problem really has been a personality clash. So it is very important, and when schools are thinking about who the induction tutor should be for an NQT, they need to take that into consideration, really.
Well, I think one of the things we try and do is also match up NQTs to the right person, in the sense that sort of, if you look at the three main people who are tutors within our school, all three of us have actually got very different skills, and all three of us are very different people. You've got all your portfolios, you've got all your standards and so on, but they count for nothing if your relationship part isn't right.
I think it's really important that you get on with your NQT, but you are that person's line manager and, you know, they are your NQT, and so in that respect I would want to develop a friendship, but a healthy and professional friendship.
If my mentor wasn't approachable, as I've heard other NQTs say, then I wouldn't have managed as easily as I have done during this year.
At the heart, I think, of a good induction process is people actually knowing each other really well.
For Ian and Becky at Hertford, sharing Year 4 has meant working very closely together.
How was the maths this morning?
Yeah, it was good. We did division stuff.
I think one of the negatives could have been that because we're in the same Year 4 class, we would have spent all of our kind of time together and kind of meetings discussing planning or kind of trips or things related to the year rather than things related to induction tutor and NQT. But Ian was very good at making sure that we had kind of time set aside for him to be the induction tutor and me to be the NQT.
All the induction tutors have a number of roles within their schools. As deputy at Little Common, Louisa is constantly on the move.
You have to be very organised, I think. You have to be very good with your time management, probably. But I tend to have things planned from the beginning of the year, so all the dates will be put into the diary. There are times when that doesn't work, and there are times when you have to be a little bit flexible and move a date.
Preparation for the NQT's first year often begins well before the autumn term.
Prior to her beginning at the school, I would make it, make a point of being in touch with her, getting her in on an informal basis, having a chat with her, giving her opportunities to come in and meet her new class.
It was very useful because I got to get to know certain characters and obviously what their likes were, their dislikes were. The exercises we did together gave me quite a good idea as to what they were like and what to expect come September time.
So then we would look at the CEDP and we would start to talk formally about what her areas of strength were, what her areas of development were, and that would form the basis of her first targets that we would put together to make our action plan. So quite a lot would go on prior to her actually joining the schools.
It's really important when schools are recruiting NQTs that everyone in the school is aware of what the NQT's responsibilities and roles are.
When you're new to a place, it is difficult. You want to make friends and you want to settle quickly, but because you have a class, it's not always easy to interact with the other adults, the other teachers in the school. Louisa's there to introduce me. When I first started, she took me around the school and introduced me to each teacher.
There's also a buddy system to give added support to the NQTs.
If by any chance the NQT didn't feel comfortable with coming to me with a problem, with coming to perhaps their key stage leader or year group leader with a problem, they've got a buddy that they can talk to.
In all the schools, the tutor isn't working alone. The skills and experience of the rest of the staff are also being utilised.
I don't think any induction tutor can know everything that goes on as an expert on every area. So at a very early stage, certainly in this school, we start to involve other people.
The school couldn't function without a very supportive network. You know, that although, say, it might be me as a tutor, as a mentor, or Len as a mentor, we couldn't do it on our own.
1, 2, 3, 1.
At Hertford, Becky has tapped into a number of projects at the suggestion of other staff members who were made aware of her interests.
The PE coordinator knew that I enjoyed dancing and was the one who asked me and approached me if I would kind of help her with the Strictly Come Dancing pilot that we've been doing in school.
And back. Excellent. Well done. Find your partner.
Becky has also had to develop her skills to deal with a number of special needs children in her class.
Victoria, what am I feeling?
Sad.
Sad. I am feeling a bit sad. Well done. Brilliant. OK, so who would like to give it a go first? It can be...
A training course and regular updates with the Senko have helped.
Shy. You feeling shy, Molly?
But it is really...
The Senko really helps me harness what things worked in a lesson, kind of pinpoint what exactly it was, and then kind of use that kind of as a common kind of trend. So it kind of builds up from there.
Comment ça va, Héloïse? Comment ça va?
Ça va comme ci, comme ça.
Très bien.
The tutors have also been keen to direct their NQTs to CPD opportunities outside of their school.
Je m'appelle Miss Wilson. Très bien, Katie.
I try to encourage Emily to attend as many courses as she can. Also, I think that it's important that Emily goes to see other teachers teach.
I found out that there was an advanced skills teacher who teaches French in the area, so I was lucky enough to be able to set up an observation and go and watch her teach a language and see how I could bring back some of those skills into my teaching.
Each of the tutors has approached helping their NQT achieve the course standards in a way most suited to their school.
The way you're meeting the needs of those children in class is working really well. And there's a lot to cover in the space of a year. There's 41 different areas. Was it seemed the most natural thing to do would be to put them into groups together. And so, for example, at the start of the year, we concentrated on the ones that were all about establishing relationships with the class and with other colleagues in school and things like that. And as each term has gone on, we've reviewed them and decided which ones we want to work on next.
It's much easier if, as Ian's done, he's split them up into kind of terms and we focus on those each term and then tick them off and then move on to the next, rather than try and manage them all at the same time.
At Moulscombe, where there can be more time-consuming behavioural issues to be dealt with, they have developed a slightly different approach.
I feel very much that it's the tutor's role for them to know what the standards are and to share those with the NQT as you go along. I don't actually sort of say, right, this week we're going to be focusing in on number C1 or C13. If I go in and do an observation, when I feed back to, say, Daniel this year, what I'll actually be doing is talking to him about what the lesson's been about, what parts of the induction process, the standards that he's actually met within that lesson.
On top of PPA time, NQTs are entitled to 10% non-teaching time.
The 10% professional development time, it's really important they take that regularly because when they're having their professional review meetings and lesson observations, which are happening at least once every half term, then the feedback they're getting from that, they then need to have time out of the classroom often to put things into practice.
I organise the 10% time to coincide with the PPA time that the NQT gets, so that we can have, our NQTs have a whole day of time out of the classroom.
I find observing one of the most useful ways of spending my 10% time. I've been to see other teachers within the school. So, for example, there's specific things that this school does in maths, such as the numeracy passport, and having never done that before because it's so specific to this school, it was so useful to go and see an experienced member of staff, and I've brought that into my maths lessons, and the children really thrive on it.
Excellent, brilliant. So you see that person's point of view and
The NQTs themselves are regularly observed throughout the year.
So does anyone With Ian, when he observes me, he lets me know kind of in particular what he's looking for, and in that way I can make sure that, you know, whatever he wants to see, I'm showing.
When she comes and observes me, she feeds back on all aspects of my teaching, and that's tremendously helpful because you don't often have time to reflect or think about how you've done. So it's nice to hear it from somebody else.
Excellent, fantastic, well done, Elise.
NQTs may need specific professional development to deal with their particular teaching needs. At Moulscombe, behavioural issues have had to be handled carefully.
My second term was much tougher, and I had a Friday where I actually just finished school and just felt totally defeated, like totally defeated. My next mentor meeting, that I think was just on the Wednesday, he knew exactly what had happened, you know, what the problem was, had already thought of, you know, action, you know, what he could do to help me and support me. And just knowing that Charles wasn't saying to me, oh, you know, you either, one, you can't deal with it, you know, or it's your problem.
The one thing I always bring them back to is, well, there are these 2 or 3 children in your class you're having difficult with. How many children you got in your class? 25 children, 28 children, whatever. So for those 22, 25 other children, you're actually being really successful. And the strategies you're using are actually working with those children. And so it's really to actually sort of point out what is working positively first before actually addressing the actual issue of these 2 or 3 difficult children.
When problems do arise, letting everyone know quickly can make all the difference.
We encourage all induction tutors and NQTs to let us know as early as possible in the year, because from experience we've always managed to turn it round if we find out about it in the first term. Recently we've had a few this year who we found out about late in the second term, and it's been very challenging to try and put extra support in with only a term left.
If you leave something, then it just gets worse and worse, and the NQT can start feeling the pressure and the stress. If the culture of the school is very supportive, then people won't feel that they're failing in any way by asking for help.
It is actually a very good experience sometimes if they do have to help an NQT in difficulty, because not many of them go through it because we have such a small percentage of NQTs that have difficulties. So if they can get through that and be supported through that, then it's going to be great for them in the future.
See, I don't think everybody knows all the answers anyway. I think induction tutors as well, they need help. I think if an induction tutor is stuck on something, then in the school there'll be somebody else to help them out. There's always a network of support.
I think one of the reasons I've enjoyed it, actually, because it gives you a chance to reflect on your own, to realise, actually, that you have built up, you know, a fair amount of experience, and the fact that you are in a position where you can support a colleague who's just started teaching by passing on some of that to them.
I enjoy seeing that development and that increase in confidence that comes so obviously over the year.
Especially at the end of the first year, and you know you've helped somebody, probably not on your own, but you've really helped somebody to get through their first year of teaching. You've set them off on their career path, and you get a real sense of satisfaction from that.
I've taught her everything she knows, really. I would like to say.
Yeah.
which doesn't amount to much.